Hello everyone, welcome to another video. I'm Randy, and recently I did a video that was a response to a video by Rob Walker over in the UK where he wanted us to show 10 songs about famous people. And I did a video where I had 10 songs about famous people that were singers, and I would show the song and then an album by the singer. Well, then I started thinking, well, I could do that for actors too, and then I got some encouragement from another VC member, so I thought I'm going to do 10 songs about famous people that are all actors, and then I'm going to show a DVD recommendation for that actor as well. So let's get going. I will also say that I'm going to show 5 vinyl records and 5 CDs. I was going to do all vinyl, but there's 5 songs I really want to feature that I only have on CD, and my DVD recommendation for that one. The first one is the only one I don't have a DVD recommendation for, and that's from the Waterboys, Good Luck Seeker. The Waterboys, Scottish group that only this part in their history. It's just basically Mike Scott with different people, but he's getting more into electronica and dance beats. So the last 3 albums have been kind of interesting, different from the early Waterboys like Fisherman's Blues and stuff like that. But this one has a song called Dennis Hopper, the actor. He played the bad guy in Speed. He was in Blue Velvet. I thought I had the DVD of the Sons of Katie Elder, where he plays the son of the bad guy in that one. And his most famous movie is Easy Rider, which I don't have, and I thought I had the soundtrack too, but I don't have the soundtrack either. But I have the Byrds album, The Ballad of Easy Rider, where it's Dennis Hopper, Jack Nicholson, and Peter Fonda. But this song is in the movie, and that's, I think, Jack Nicholson right there. Unfortunately, I don't have one of Dennis Hopper. And here's the custom label for the Waterboys album. So that's the first one, Dennis Hopper. The next one I'm going to show is a song about she started out in the silence, and she did movies into the 30s. She died in 1937 at the young age of 40, and unfortunate circumstances that there was a book called Hollywood Babylon that kind of did a fictionalized account of what happened to her, because she wasn't found for a couple days. And Nick Lowe, right here, wrote a song where he used that account in the Hollywood Babylon book. This is the album Pure Pop for Now People. It was called Jesus of Cool in the UK. And this is Nick Lowe. And he's got a song about that silent movie, well, like I said, and into the 30s. And her name was Marie Provost. And her unfortunate death, he talks in this song. Marie Provost was a winner who became, and people know the rest of that tune that know that song. You should go check it out, his song Marie Provost, although it is not true from what I understand. And the movie I'm going to recommend is this Clark Gable star, Sporting Blood. That is actually Madge Evans right there, and there's Madge Evans in the back. But I'm pretty sure this is Marie Provost, who's also in the movie, right there. A lot of times played the sidekick. But, and I'm going to recommend that movie. All right, number 3 is by the new wave group Any Trouble. This is their album from 1980, and it's not anywhere on the album, but it's called Where Are All the Nice Girls? And they were on Stiff Records. See the label there. What I really wanted to show this is that I thought was pretty cool is the different things different merchandise you could get from Stiff back in the day, which I thought was pretty cool. Stiff was a cool record label. Anyway, they have a song called Playing Bogart, which they're talking about Humphrey Bogart, and also talking the song about having a Tom Petty leer. And if you can't play Bogart and get the girl, maybe you should just be yourself. But anyway, here's the movie I'm recommending. Of course, he did so many great movies, Casablanca and everything. But this is the album Maltese Falcon. The Maltese Falcon. There it is. It's the thing that dreams are made of, if you've seen the movie. Anyway, great movie. Humphrey Bogart. The fourth one is a song off this album, The Third Mind, which was a project by Dave Alvin and some other artists. They got together. Dave Alvin's kind of known now more for Americana, but he got together to do a psychedelic album called The Third Mind. This came out in 2020, but they have a song on here called Claudia Cardinale. Claudia Cardinale was a beautiful Italian actress. Was in a lot of good movies. 8½is probably maybe her most famous. She was also in Once Upon a Time in the West. I'm going to recommend a lesser known movie, and that's Blindfold. There's Claudia right there with Rock Hudson. It's kind of a lesser charade, if you know the movie Charade, but it's fun movie. Blindfold with Rock Hudson. All right, number 5 from the great artist John Prine. This is his album Bruised Orange, which came out in 1978. And he has a song on here, Sabu Visits the Twin Cities Alone. And Sabu was an actor that played in a lot of these South Sea movies and jungle movies, usually playing a kid, a lot of times younger than he really was. I'm going to show a movie called Cobra Woman. Although there's not a picture of Sabu on here, you can see that he was in the movie. He did a lot of movies with Maria Montez, a lot of these South Sea movies. And one thing about the Sabu Visit to Twin Cities Alone, it didn't really happen, but it's kind of like, it's peaking before your time. That here he is, the Elephant Boy, as they called him. There was a song called The Elephant. There was a movie called The Elephant Boy. That was the first movie he was in, I think. And in fact, I was looking at an Internet Movie Database, and someone wrote in the trivia section that John Prine had written a song about him called Elephant Boy, which is incorrect. It's called Sabu Visits the Twin Cities Alone. I'm not sure. I guess I need to go in there and tell him how to correct it. I don't know. But, and it's just about Sabu by himself going in this very cold city in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and on a promotional tour in the cold when he's been on all these South Sea movies. But it's a fun song, although it didn't really happen. But anyway, it's a great song. All right, number 6. And number 6 comes from a project called the Postal Service, which was Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, and another guy that I can't remember his name. But they put out this kind of electronic pop album, the Postal Service. It does remind me a little bit of Death Cab for Cutie. But they have a song on here, if you can see it very well, Clark Gable, the famous actor who's in Gone with the Wind. I'm going to recommend a movie called Comrade X with Clark Gable and Hedy Lamarr. It's kind of like Nanochka. It's a comedy, but I think it's really good and a lot of fun. So that's my recommendation there. My number 7 comes from the maligned Jimmy Buffett because of all the Parrot Head stuff. But his early 70s albums I thought were a lot of fun. And this is a white sport coat and a pink crustacean, which is a play on the song by Marty Robbins, a white sport coat and a pink carnation. But he's got a song on here. They Don't Dance Like Carmen No More, which is about Carmen Miranda. Here we see Carmen Miranda. She was born in Portugal, but grew up in Brazil, and she was in a lot of these movies set in South America. A lot of these musicals are set in Brazil or Argentina. But she was known for her head coverings, where a lot of times had fruit on top of her head and everything like that. Of course, she usually danced in the movie. And the one I'm going to recommend is The Gang's All Here. There's Carmen there, and you can see with the head thing. It's got Alice Faye in there. Benny Goodman orchestra plays in it. But that's a good movie. All right, next is by the artist Josh Ritter. This is his album, The Gathering, or just Gathering, I guess. This came out in 2017, and he was from Idaho, but he also, nearby state, he found out that this actress was from Helena, Montana, was born in Helena, Montana, and he watched one of her movies and just fell in love with her, and he wrote a song, Myrna Lloyd. And Myrna Lloyd's most famous for the movies, even though she started in silence, she's most famous for the movie she did with William Powell. And of course, it's The Thin Man is the movie he saw and fell in love with Myrna Lloyd. She always had a great sense of humor, like she was like the perfect wife, and there she is in the movie. But anyway, The Thin Man. And what's next? My number 9 comes from one of my favorite later albums by Van Morrison. This is an album, Magic Time, which came out in 2005. And he's got a song in here called, if I can find it on here, Just Like Greta. And it's talking about Greta Garbo. And it says, just like Greta Garbo, I want to be alone. Which he's kind of a private person. She was known for being a very private person. Retired at the peak of her career. Started out in silence and did movies in the 30s. This is the famous movie where she did the line, I want to be alone, Grand Hotel. I'm going to recommend Anna Christie for the Greta Garbo movie. Really good movie. Clarence Brown was the director. But Greta Garbo, just like Greta Garbo, great Van Morrison tune. And my last one comes from an amazing stringed instrumentalist, big Americana. Well, I know he's not really big because he's not real famous, but his name is Robbie Fulks. Usually has a lot of humor, and the humor also is this album, The Very Best of Robbie Fulks, which none of this stuff had ever been released before. It was a lot of like B-sides and things that he hadn't put on the album. And he just released it as the very best of Robbie Fulks. But anyway, he's got a song on here called Jean Arthur. And Jean Arthur was a actress. She started, I think, in the silence as well. But she kind of had this froggy voice, which really helped her in a lot of comedies. Her most famous ones were Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and she was the mother of the little boy that was infatuated with Shane, the Alan Ladd character in the movie Shane. But I'm going to recommend a movie in here. This is some comedies of her, but she's got a movie called More Than a Secretary. Jean Arthur. And also on this Robbie Fulks album, I could use another song for the one I did last time, which he's got one on here, That Bangle Girl, which is about Susanna Huffs and his infatuation with the girl in the bangles. But anyway, this is a great album here. The Very Best of Robbie Fulks, which is not a greatest hits album. Anyway, that's my 10. Hope you enjoyed it and hope everyone's doing well. I'll also put a link in here to Rob Walker's original one if you haven't seen it. And he's also got a playlist on there where he has a lot of all the people that have made videos for this. So everyone take care.